I've been begging God for work, and I've begged my audience to pray for me as well, that I would find some employment. And God has been good. I do have one PRN position now. I'm on my way later on this afternoon for my health checkup for a different PRN position in a neighboring small city. I'm very grateful for this, and I think I've confided a little bit about my hopes and prayers for a full-time position, and the PRN positions would be, if the Lord allows me to get the full-time job, the PRN positions would be to make extra money. God's blessed me. I'm so grateful to be able to say I have a job. However, it's opened the door to other issues, and God knows I'm not ungrateful. He knows I'm not ungrateful. And I hope that y'all know I'm not ungrateful too. I have one friend in particular who seems to think I'm ungrateful. It isn't that. Workplace culture scares me. I'm 61 years old. I'm not going to say that I'm in bad health, but I live my life in pain. And thank God the injections have helped. My first night on the floor, my first day on the floor, I called a friend and I was in hysterical tears because I felt like the injections had done no good whatever, and I was in agonizing pain again. That was scary. So it's opened the door to this. It's opened the door to getting back into a job that my body is not able to tolerate. It's also getting back into a workplace culture, 12-hour days on the floor, 3 days in a row. I asked for the 3 days in a row so that I could have the rest of the week off. That's fine. I asked for that. That's what I wanted. But on my third day, one of the nurses stopped and asked me and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not okay." And I've said that before. It's like being married again. The emotional abuse. Now, I'm not going to say that anyone was verbally abusive, but the gaslighting was intense. And it seems in the healthcare field that if the state inspectors come around, people lose their minds. People demand that someone else take responsibility for whatever's wrong. One young woman actually told me, she said, "I am so stressed out that I can't do my job." She said, I'm sorry, I'm doing stupid things because I'm so stressed out that I can't do my job." I work in the healthcare industry, people. This is unacceptable. And not only is it unacceptable, it's unnecessary. It's simply unnecessary. It's like being on a playground in a kindergarten with a bunch of bullies. And then, in order to mask their intentions and their behaviors, they'll put on a nice face, they'll put on a smile, they'll couch it in terms like, "Oh, I'm only trying to help," when what they're doing is not just criticizing everything that you've done. People wind up lying to you. Basically, you did or did not do this or that, and you're standing there and both of you know that you did or did not do whatever it was you were supposed to or weren't supposed to do, and they expect you to agree with the false allegations. Am I making sense here? It's gaslighting. They try to convince you that something is true that you both know is not true. You bring something that is not as it should be to the attention of your superiors. They don't want to hear about it. Their answer is, oh, well, she always does that. Or that's nothing unusual. I'm not going to go into details about one such instance. I was appalled at a situation that I found, brought it to the nurse's attention, and the gaslighting was like something out of an Abbott and Costello routine. You know how they used to go around and around about, what was it, the baseball thing, who's got the ball, who's on first. That's what it was called, who's on first. And it's like the superiors will take you around and around and around in this circular conversation that never gets resolved because they do not want to take responsibility. They simply want the issue to go away. I'm scared. Because if you're good at your job and you stand up for the right thing, if you advocate for your patient or resident or whoever it is you're working with, you're not going to get along. And they're going to see that you don't get along. I feel quite hopeless about the job situation. I have 5 more years before I can retire. Now, I've discussed taking early retirement on the former husband. However, I think that might be a very unwise thing for me to do because I'll jeopardize ever getting full benefits at any time in my life from either him or on myself, whichever is greater. I will jeopardize getting full benefits in the future. I just don't think that that would be the way to go. And when I think about spending the next 5 years of my life in this milieu, I can see myself going back to the whole lifestyle of crying when I'm clocking in and crying when I'm clocking out. And yeah, it's only 3 days a week at the least. If I need extra money, it could be 4 or 5 12-hour days, which is a 48 to 60-hour work week. One of my charge nurses at the first hospital at which I worked, she would tell me over and over again, she would say, "You're not like the rest of us. The rest of us do our 3 days and we're out of here." She said, "You practically live here." Again, it's like being married again. It's like being subjected all day, every day to the verbal abuse, the emotional abuse, the mental abuse, the gaslighting, the DARVO, all of that good stuff. I don't know how people live like this. I don't know how people who are enduring this in their marriages are going to the workplace and enduring it there too. I've also come to the point where I've gone to the Lord and I've just been honest with him about, I'm so depressed about this situation that something down in me doesn't even care anymore. I'm truly less than $600 away from living in my car. And something down in me doesn't care. That's serious, people. That's not right. And it's because the only thing that I really know how to do, well, it's not the only thing I know how to do, but it's the only thing I can do right now, makes me, let's just say it like it is, mentally and emotionally ill. All of these things about nurses, that nurses are just, they're walking out in droves. And I know about that situation up there. Where is it, in Boston? That's a very serious situation. And it's very real. It's very valid. And I have no doubt that it's not just the pay that they're objecting to, it's the workload. The workload is punishing. The workload for CNAs and PCTs is brutal. And it's brutal for nurses. And that's also part of what people are dealing with. They're not just dealing with the toxic interpersonal dynamics that go on these floors. They're dealing with the sheer physical brutality. These are the realities that healthcare staff is dealing with. I think it's killing people. You see all of these people who are coming out with, the healthcare industry has become completely unmanageable. And it has. Now, I want this full-time job. I want the full-time job. Yes, it's healthcare, but it's a very different slant on healthcare. I can also go for different certifications that will enhance that particular healthcare career path for me. I've gone to the Lord and I've told him, especially in the last 3.5 years, I haven't asked you for things just because I want it. I want this, Lord. I want this job. And I'm wondering if God will bless me on this job, because the other opportunities don't really seem to be going anywhere. I just got rejected by a nursing home to which I had applied right after I got my certification. And when you go on the temp agency apps, this same nursing home is begging for people, but they turned down my application. Now, that did not make any sense to me at all, but things like this are always happening. I did a video, I've done a couple of videos, I think, about the fact that the job-seeking sector is really taking a hit. And it's because crazy things are happening. They'll tell you that you're hired, and then they call you back 15 minutes later and say, oh, I didn't know that position has already been filled. Or they see you in person, they happen to run into you somewhere, and they beg you to come back, and you go there and apply, and you're rejected in a matter of a couple of hours, when you just saw them 2.5 hours before and they were begging you to come on board. And there was another, this was the wildest. I had not applied at this particular business. I had left one of my own business cards there. I got a call No, I got a text from out of the blue begging me to come in right then and there for an interview. I said, well, I'm out of town right now. I'll be heading back home in a little while. I can come by then. 15 minutes later, I get another text. Are you coming? I just said I was out of town right now. I'll let you know when I head back. And yeah, I'd really like to have a job. I think the person shot me another text within like 45 minutes, and I'd already made it plain I had an appointment. So the word appointment usually means you're going to be there for a while. So it's like, okay, what on earth is going on? This is just kind of wild. So I get to the place of business finally, and it's the owner manager of the business. And I give you my word, she's in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. I stayed there for 45 minutes, and I don't think she was in that room for 5 minutes altogether, ostensibly interviewing me. So I'm sitting there thinking, this woman, I don't know how she's achieved what she's achieved if she's this unprofessional in her behavior. So it turns out that what she really wants is a med aid, and I've made it clear I'm a CNA. I'm not a med aid. You know, I've already made that clear. And she's like, oh, well, you know, we can train you. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. At this point in my life, I'm not interested in training as a med aid. I'm under too much stress, and it's just not something I feel comfortable doing right now. Well, then I guess we can't use you. Fine and good. I go my way. And then a couple of weeks later, I get this text again out of the blue. Can you come in for orientation? I texted back, I didn't even know I was hired. Okay, if you could come in for orientation in the next few minutes, that would be great. And I'm like, are you looking for a CNA? And she texted back, we're looking for a caregiver. Okay, I can do that. You know, it's close to home. I don't have a commute. I can do that. I already knew that the pay was cheap, but I could deal with it. So orientation was not really orientation. Orientation was more like a potential resident tour is what it was like. Can you come in tomorrow? No papers, no contract, no signing of anything. So I come home, I'm fixing dinner, and I'm like, you know, this is just kind of weird. This is very unprofessional. So I texted the owner manager, and I'm like, is HR going to be there at 6 a.m.? And she's like, what do you need HR for? I haven't signed any papers. Can you send the papers to me and I'll sign them? No, that's not the point. We do not have a contract. We do not have a contract of employment in place. I cannot just come in off the street and start working. And she's like, well, if you'll send me the papers. And I'm like, you're not understanding what I'm saying. We have not signed an employment contract of any kind with each other. I cannot work unless I'm official. And her text, I'm not making this up, her answer was, I don't have time to notify HR. So I texted back and I said, I think that this is just not the right fit for me. I think you better not plan on my being there in the morning. This is scary, people. You're talking about a woman who is heading a business, who is not only in charge of people's health and well-being. There are times when she's in charge of their lives. And this is the hit or miss manner in which she's conducting her business. And it's not the only place of business she owns. She owns another one an hour away. And I'm looking at this young woman and I'm like, how have you achieved what you've achieved if this is the way you behave? The job industry is a scary place. The job seeking industry is a scary place. I truly don't know what people are going to do. There is such a general breakdown in society. It's almost like society has no standards. And the few standards that we have are ridiculous. And sometimes even meaningless. I don't know how many out there of you would agree with me. I would love to hear from you. I would also love to hear if you think it would be worth your while and mine to start another YouTube channel addressing these very kinds of issues. I thank you so much for your attention. I wish that I had happier messages today. Yes, I've been struggling with depression through all of this, but God keeps my head above water, and I know that my Christian friends out there are praying for me, and I would love to hear what's going on with you so that I can pray for you as well. Thank you all so much.